Following the most tumultuous years of any president in U.S. history, in January of 1953, Harry and Bess Truman came home to independence.
I'm in the army of the unemployed now, although it's a very small army, and I'm here to tell you that a little later on, when I get the job done that Mrs. Truman has for me, which she says I'm going to have to do, that's to unpack all our goods and chattels. And it took about 7 or 8 men 3 months to get it done, so I don't know how long it's going to take one man to get it undone. After that, I'll be open for dinner engagements and things of that kind, because I may be hungry for that time. We do thank you immensely for this wonderful welcome. I don't see how anybody in the world could have a better one. Thank you very much.
Just a few months later, friends from all chapters of Harry Truman's life, his boyhood, his time in the Army, his years in local politics, gathered together at the Mulebach Hotel in Kansas City to celebrate the ex-president's birthday and the good works of their humble friend. Through the last 2 decades of Truman's life, the president's birthday party became an annual event. Over the years, respect grew for Truman and his presidency, and the birthday celebrations attracted national and international leaders and the most popular entertainers of the era. Mostly, however, Truman's birthday was just celebrated at the Mulebach over a glass of sherry among good friends. With the president's death in 1972, the Truman Good Neighbor Award Foundation was launched to commemorate Truman's legacy and continue celebrating his birthday. In Truman's memory, the foundation awards scholarships to undergraduate and graduate students pursuing degrees in international relations and public service. And to honor Truman's military service, each year the foundation awards the Philip Pastilli Silver Veterans Medal to a member of the military who has served our nation with valor and distinction. The foundation would also continue to honor and provide a platform for leaders of the era. In the following years, the Good Neighbor Award would be bestowed on journalists, public servants, educators, military leaders, and entertainers, and each has graced this stage with opinions, stories, and respect for Harry S. Truman.
Well, there are so many books and speeches and quotations that attempt to define Harry Truman's life. But one of my favorite lines comes from a British newspaper written back in 1946. He wrote, "President Harry Truman is the living, kicking symbol of what everyone likes about America."
He knew where he was from. He cared deeply about his roots. He was loyal to his friends and probably could be just as feisty as the next one. But he was comfortable with who he was, and he cared a great deal about those friendships and his roots.
I really wish that I'd had the chance to know Harry Truman, because I feel that the simple virtues that he grew up with and lived by were coupled with an incredibly fine mind and a steel spine.
The courage, determination, distinctive style of leadership he brought to these tasks and a great many other endeavors provides us with a stunning and wonderful example of how an apparently ordinary person, how apparently ordinary people sometimes prove to be extraordinary historical figures.
Harry Truman is the seemingly common man, who, faced with an extraordinary problem, overwhelming, unprecedented problems, rises to the occasion and does the extraordinary. It's an old American theme.
This luncheon honors the contributions Mr. Truman made to our country. No man in our history was more committed to democracy, the right of the average person to control their own national destiny.
I remember so well hearing him at the university commencement at Howard University in the summer of 1952, when he was the president and when he spoke out against segregation in the Army, and when he called on equality of education, equality of military service, and all the rest, no president of the United States had ever spoken out against racial segregation until Harry Ship Truman spoke out against it.
Thinking of his own boyhood days at home, Mr. Truman one time said, "What was right, and what was wrong, and we didn't have to talk about it." Every time he went out the door, he remembers his mother saying to him, "Now be good, Harry."
He was a statesman that played by the rules. Do the right thing. It wasn't popular. Harry Truman wouldn't put his finger up and say, "Well, I want to do a poll on that." He said, "No, we're going to do this."
Harry Truman brought courage, imagination, and unbeatable determination to the job of leader of the free world, and the world was a better place for it.
Character is what leadership is all about. Character. When I think of the decisions that Harry S. Truman had to make, and the decisions that he then came up with, it is a reflection of his very great character.
President Truman once said, "Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifices."
You don't have to be a Democrat to admire Harry Truman. I've always admired him. I admired his honesty and candor, a straight talker by conviction and habit. I flatter myself to think I'm capable of straight talk now and then. Harry Truman was in a whole other league.
We were strong under him. We had decisions under him. And if I sounded something like him, maybe some of that Democratic stuff rubbed off on me. And I thank God.
I have on my desk at the court a little wooden piece that I bought at the Truman Library when I first visited it, when Mr. Zobrist Sr. over here was heading that, and it says, "The buck stops here."
It isn't just that Harry Truman was a devoted and proud citizen of Independence, Missouri, or Kansas City, Missouri, or Jackson County, or Missouri, or the United States, but that Harry Truman became a citizen of the world. And he understood that that is exactly what we all must be, citizens of the world.
And through this work of supporting the troops, helping the kids, and visiting our troops around the world, I have met many, many good neighbors out there that are trying to do the right thing and trying to help people.
This foundation does some great work in promoting and preserving an understanding and devotion to the principles that were advocated by President Truman.
When you give scholarships to these students, when you bring people together from around the world, you are making an important statement. You're saying that what we have in common is more important than our differences. You're saying the world is full of complicated problems and nobody has all the answers. Therefore, if we work together, we'll do better than we will if we work alone. Truman was right. Being a good neighbor, more than ever before, is the best policy. Thank you very much.